Hi, I'm Jeff Huston.
I'm Kendra Huston. I am 52.
I'm from Holdridge, Nebraska. I'm 59 years old.
I'm the mom of 4 kids, and I just recently started a job as a part-time barista.
I work at Landmark Implement. We're the local John Deere dealer in south central Nebraska. I manage the Holdridge and the Minden locations, and I've been with them for about 11 years now. I started school in Loomis as a kindergartner and lived in Loomis till 3rd grade. And then about the last 2 months of my 3rd grade year, we moved south to Holdridge, started school in Holdridge and went to school at Roosevelt Elementary in Holdridge from 3rd grade until 6th grade. And then about the last 2 weeks of my 6th grade year, we moved to Axtell. So graduated high school, and I took a year off actually between high school and going to Hastings Tech. I actually spent my very first winter after graduating high school at Gemini Housing as a welder, welding up the frames on these trailer houses, and that was a good experience. I learned a great skill there. Don't need to go into much depth there, but that was a good job right out of high school. And then the following year I decided to go to Hastings Tech, and I entered the ag program. My younger brother Scott was a senior in high school, and he was on a really great basketball team in high school, and they were playing Lawrence in regionals that night. And so I went to the game, and if they won that game, they were going to go on to state. And as I was walking up to Hastings College, lo and behold, my folks were coming up, and I just happened to walk in with them. And on the way into Hastings College, my dad asked me how I would feel about coming home to farm Uncle Milton's ground. And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, Uncle Milton called and he's going to retire, and he's wondering if you and Jim," which is my older brother, "would be interested in farming his ground." And I said, "Heck yeah." And Dad says, "Well, that means you'd probably have to quit school to do that." And I said, "Hey, I'm good. I'm all in. Let's do it." And so I quit school to go home to farm Uncle Milton's ground. And so that led me back down to Reagan. And I'm a product of the 80s farm crisis, I guess. And the 80s were a terrible time for us. And but there was good things that came out of that. That led me to a job out at Copper Mountain, Colorado. And I worked out there for 5 winters, which was a phenomenal experience. Still have lifelong friends out there, great memories from there. And I like to say that life threw us some lemons and we made lemonade. And then when I came back from Copper Mountain in 1990, I got a job with Carl and Phil Schreider just north of Holdridge there. And I was trying to get back into the farming game, and so I worked for them from 90 and 91. And one thing led to another, and that didn't pan out, and I got a job as a salesman with Fairbanks International, the Case IH dealer there in town, where my dad was currently working. And I worked there for 16 years. And the last 12 of those years, I was the sales manager there. And it was a great job. I thought I'd probably retire there, and enjoyed that very much. And one night in December, actually I think it was November of '07, the phone rang at home, and it was for me, which is very unusual. And the guy on the other end of the phone introduced himself as Troy Lorenzen. And I had no idea who this guy was, but he told me that he was one of the owners of Landmark Implement, which was the John Deere dealer there in Holdridge, and was offering me a job, which absolutely floored me. And I kind of laughed at him at first. As I look back, that was quite a time. Wasn't expecting that at all. And one thing led to another again, and I ended up taking that position, and I've been with them since December of '07, and here we are in January of 19. So been there about 11 and a half years. Started there as a salesman, worked up to the location manager position there in Holdridge, and now have accepted the location manager position in Minden as well, back in April. So I'm managing those 2 stores, and here we are.
I'm Kendra Huston. I am 52. I'm the mom of 4 kids, and I just recently started a job as a part-time barista. I am the second of 4 kids, an older brother and 2 younger brothers, the only girl, and grew up on Sherman Street in Holdridge, Nebraska, which was really a great childhood experience. We had neighbors ranging from ages, we were probably the youngest kids, all the way up to at least 10 years older than us. It was a street that was 2 blocks long, and all the kids were great. We played outside every day after supper all the way till it was dark and time for us to all go in and go to bed. So growing up, I didn't spend time with my mom in the kitchen, and I chose to spend time with my dad, and I was really just right on his hip pocket all the time. So we were always going into the lumber yards together and to the local Ace Hardware together and working out in his garage. And his garage always smelled like just fresh cut lumber, and the smell is just like home to me. And he loved his garage, and he would always whistle while he worked. I had a great group of friends, and we went all through the rest of junior high and high school together, and lots of fun shenanigans. And we ended up, 4 of us ended up going to college together and rooming together. So it was Carol and Corey and Sue and I went together and lived together the first year in the dorms, and even the second year of college we lived together and kind of went our separate ways of living, but they are just forever in my life. I was in Kearney for 8 years total, 4 years for college, and a total of 8 years working at First National of Kearney, and worked part-time also at the mall at the Estee Lauder counter at Herberger's. So in March of 1991, I think, one of my best friends and roommate, Carol Silver, was getting married to Scott Huston, March 24th. And so in going to that wedding, my other friends had just heard that there's another Huston brother that was moving to Holdridge, and Ken, we think that you ought to meet him and we ought to set you up with him. Well, my friend was already marrying his brother, and my first cousin had already married his other brother. And so I assured them that 2 Hustons in the family was enough, and that I did not need to meet the brother. So went to the wedding, and we were at the wedding dance, and actually did dance with this Jeff Huston from Colorado, the mystery brother, the mystery Huston boy, and then that was it until the following December. I was working at Herberger's, and Jeff came through the mall and struck up a conversation with me.
And in that very brief conversation, I asked her, I said, I suppose you have plans for New Year's?
I said, no, I was going to stay in and watch a movie. And he went on his merry way, and I continued working the counter.
And she said, actually, I don't. And I said, oh, I'll be darned. And, well, see you later, you know, and I went into the mall. But as I left, I was thinking, I would ask her out. And so I was out in the mall and kind of stewed on that for a little bit. And
then on his way back through, he stopped and asked if I would want to go out on a date. So I agreed, and we went out on New Year's Eve, and it was a blue moon, and it was a full moon. And he really surprised me. I just thought he would be this cocky Colorado boy because he was handsome and funny, and I was really surprised that he was very down to earth and very kind and very nice. So we started dating, and dated a full year, I would say, before he asked me to marry him.
it just went very well, and it didn't take long to figure out that this is maybe a girl that I could spend the rest of my life with. I can remember one day heading east into Holdridge, and I was coming up to the stop sign right there at 4th and East Avenue, and was slowing down right in front of the Hotel Dale there, and the thought occurred to me, what are you waiting for? And I didn't have an answer. So, yeah, it was at that moment that I decided, I'm going to ask this girl to marry me.
Well, the night that he asked me to marry him, we hadn't talked about marriage at all during our dating. And so there were some things I needed to tell him. And one was that I didn't want children and I didn't cook. And he said, that's fine. I said, okay, then we'll do just fine. So we were engaged for about 3.5 months. We figured, why wait? I was almost 26. He was almost 32. We knew what we wanted. Let's just do this thing. So the wedding was planned quickly. We have 4 kids, and early on, I would say, was when we were, right before we were expecting Carly, I just really felt God's tug on my heart to stay home with the kids and not go back to work. Even though when we first got married, I didn't want children, I was on a career path. That's where I was happiest, that's where I was most at home, but really felt the calling to just be home and raise the kids. And so a lot of prayer and a lot of talks, and we made that decision. It was a big decision. Raising 4 kids was fun. At some points, I remember thinking, these kids hate each other. They're fighting. I'm overwhelmed. Dad never knew what he was walking into when he would come home from work, but somehow we managed to have supper around that dinner table, I would say most nights. I just remember praying regularly for wisdom in raising these children. I look back and think somehow they got fed every day. I don't know how, but they did. Our oldest, Rachel, is within a month of graduating as a doctor of chiropractic. Blake has 1.5 years left of being an active duty Marine. He's engaged to be married to a great gal in August. And Carly is finishing her 2nd year at Northeast Community College and doing great things and has great dreams. And Gage has a couple more years left of high school. So Rachel inspires me with her strong work ethic and her grit and her focus.
Blake with his leadership. The Marines have taught him a lot.
We're inspired by
Growing up to be a fine, fine young man.
We're inspired by his relationship with Amy and how intentional he is with her and how hard they work at their relationship and how well he leads their relationship and how well she comes under his leadership, even though she is such a strong woman. And Carly inspires us with
Her adventurous spirit and the way she's been able to just plant her feet
and the depth
in who she is.
of her heart and her love for others. And Gage inspires us with his thinking pattern. And just his thoughts are of space and of flying and intricate things and engineering things. And
Yeah, he's quite a kid. And all 4 of you guys are so fantastic in your own ways. That's what's so crazy to us is you all 4 have the same parents. You were born and raised in the same household, and you're all 4 are fantastic, but you're fantastic in your own ways. It just blows us away how God has blessed us with that.
yeah, we're super humbled by our kids.
Yeah. As I look back, I wouldn't change a thing. You know, we have 4 beautiful kids that are doing great things, and we still love each other very much. And so, yeah, I mean, God's been in control of this whole thing. I couldn't have scripted this for nothing. I mean, He's just been in charge, and I'm just so grateful to go along for the ride. You know, it's just been a wonderful, wonderful. It's been 26 years, 27 years, somewhere in there. It's been a wonderful, crazy ride with ups and downs and wants and needs, and and happiness and sadness, and it's just been all over the board, but it's good. It's just so good, and keeping God at the center of it is what's made it happen.